See, hiring right people definitely is one of the most important things in any company. I shouldn't say just in a startup. In any company, uh, of course, startup it is more because you don't have too many chances. In a large company, you can hire and fire and hire again. I mean, rehire, and you can go on. You may have some time, or if you're hiring 100 people, so even if 10-20% are not pulling the weight, you have time to recover from using the rest of the 80 or 90% of the people. But in a startup you don't have too many chances. Your time is you're running out of time. In a way, you're running out of chances to test the people. I mean, all these things are there in a startup, or more pronounced in a startup than in a larger company. Usually I think it is, of course it depends on the kind of company and all, but we, based on the experience, I mean, I went through, I mean, since I have done multiple, I can tell you that some places where I made mistakes was I hired too fast, too soon, and that did backfire. I mean, usually I suggest to all the founders who are out there that if you have, let's say, it's a good practice to start the company with more than one person, which means you have two or three people. So you have expertise distribution. Suppose you are good in technical things. I mean, building a technology, assuming it's a technology startup, and someone else is good in marketing, and the third person is good in operations. That's a good balance, right? I mean, this is two or three founder startups. If you see that historically in recent times, they tend to do a lot better. The perfect scenario, you have two or three founders, and you all are set yourself out to build a product, assuming it's a technical product, or let's say non-technical also. So you need a subject matter expert, a technical person, whether it is computer technology or mechanical, robotics, or any other technology. One good person, operations, purchasing, how to manage the development of the product. And the third is your sales marketing person is more important at this stage than sales. And let's say you have this set complete. Now your next hire, if you need now a technical person, let's say you're building a hardware, a computer or mechanical or something. Now he has built out the concept, built out the initial product, and he feels now I need a person to develop a hardware, basically an alternate thing that a technical person is not completely able to do on his own. So that, let's say, is your first hire, because the first few hires in any startup have to be around what you are developing. You cannot go around hiring too many marketing people or too many operations people. If three founders are there, if three founders are not there, then the first person is one of those, right? But if you, assuming you have three founders, so the basic trifecta is complete, then next hire is on the product, around the product that you're developing, to complement the skill set of subject matter expert founder you have. So you have to find the person who's willing to work on a sweat equity. I mean, who has a startup mindset, let me say it this way, who has a good startup mindset. Because even in this, I mean, this person cannot be from a large company who says, well, you just define everything and then I develop it, because things are going to be in a continuous flux for a while, right? So this person should have, even though he may not necessarily be a founder, a founder plus one person is the most important hire, who I have seen in many startups that I've worked with, who ends up becoming a founder or co-founder eventually. I mean, after a few years, he will also have a title of founder, even though he was not present when the company was actually founded, right? So a founder plus one most important hire should be around subject matter expertise that is required to develop your product, right? So that's your founder plus one, founder plus two, founder plus three. The first few hires are around developing the product. That is the most important thing. That is what is going to get you the financing, the first or second or first or 1.5, meaning whatever stage you are at, in your company. They are going to look at how good is your product development, how good is your technical team, how good is your subject matter expertise team. They are going to fund that. Other people, yes, they are complementing this, but it's all around product you're developing. I myself, when I look at companies to invest in, I look at how solid is their technical team, how solid is their product development team, how solid is their understanding of the market. But that is only one other thing, right? Understanding the market. So the marketing person they have, or and very rarely then you go into the operations side. So if you have two founders, I will suggest going with marketing, a business side, and the technical side. You have three, only then the operations side, right? So that's kind of has been my experience, and then you start developing that. And once you have the minimum viable product in your hand, and maybe some investors who have funded you, then you will go with the product marketing, next, because that's kind of, you need to make sure that somebody who understands the market and is able to define the product based on what the market needs, right? That's what the product marketing person brings to you. So that's kind of how you start developing. Now, I have seen some startups, many of the failed startup. In my own case, where we didn't succeed as much, was the company where we hired too fast. We started hiring CFO, controller, an operations guy, an HR guy. You don't need all that. That will come much later. And there was a time when I built startups. It was still an issue of not too many startups were around there, and people were still learning. But now all this knowledge is out there. You can easily find good startup savvy HR people, controller means finance manager, or other operations guys. So don't worry about that early on. You can hire them later. When you actually have people to be managed, when you actually have finance to be managed, then you can hire, right? No point in hiring those people early on. That's a common mistake some startups do. Or some investors push the startups to do also, right? If you hire a salesperson when you don't even have the product, what good it's going to do to you, right? So hire people at the right time. So initially, you need to understand the market, understand the product, technology, how you're going to build it, and then you know. So once you have enough of that, then comes rest of it.